Hi, welcome back to Unlock Your Creative Curiosity with me, Tammy Collins. This is where we explore, experiment, evolve, express, and evoke emotion through our creativity and our artwork. Today, I'm going to go through a couple of journals, if you will. It's really just a place where I store some pieces that I've created. I've had some requests to kind of go through them. And so we're going to do that today. These are two hardbound journals. These are actually my own journals that I publish and sell, and they can be found on Amazon. But it's my artwork that's on these books, and I sell them through Amazon. So this particular notebook, I just recycled it really. So it was dot grid paper that you can see here, and you can even see I have some notes here. I kept this as like, you know, I'm a huge list and journal person. I write everything down. I have, you know, tons of to-do lists and all kinds of project lists, and that's the kind of thing that I would keep in here. And I hated to just get rid of this when it was completed because it's mine. It's one of my original um, first runs of this notebook, and so I wanted a way to sort of repurpose it. So what I did in this particular case, it's a little bit too fat, so of course it's busting the spine, but that's okay. It's really just storage for me. So what I did was, as I excuse me, took a piece of paper and just covered each side with it. And I actually glued the two pages together to make them stronger. And of course, this was the first time I ever did this. So there's lots of things I would change and do differently next time. But I needed a way to kind of store and keep safe some of these series that I made. So I make note cards. And so what I'll do is I'll create a series of six pieces of art at the same time. So there's continuity in color and design. And so they coordinate, if you will. So after that's done, I need a place to kind of keep them and store them. So here's an example of that. So you'll see the first six of these are in this same color palette, and they're very similar in feel and design. So you'll see there's six of those that I then sell as a set of six note cards. And these are done with sort of the intuitive doodling. I'm just strictly using Tombow markers here. You can see this is where I'm learning and experimenting with the watercolor aspect of the markers. I use Posca and some gel, black gel pens. I do have to say that this is a great way to store these. I will do this differently next time, but I do like them in here because I know they're kind of safe and not being disrupted. Because I sell these in note cards, I need to keep the original form, which, by the way, these are just ever so slightly stuck down here with double-sided sticky tape so that they could be easily removed so that I have the original piece. But when I sell the note cards, I have a digital photograph that I take and then they're printed. And I print those in a limited series. And then so we have another set of six here. So you can see we're using this brown and this pink and this orange and this sort of green and a gray. I really love this color combination. And you'll see that a lot in my work. I'll sort of pick up a color combination that I really like, and then I'll do a bunch of different things with that because I'm just sort of playing with that combination. And so what I do when I create this series of six pieces is I have one piece of paper that I just mask off to create six cards. And so I just sort of created it as if it's one giant piece, but it's taped off to be 6 individual cards. I really like this particular setup here. I went and did something a little bit different, and we started with sort of a random mix of colors on the paper, just sort of a wash. I used the Tombow water, get the watercolor effect going. Then I did my intuitive doodling. I did some graphics on top of that. And then I used a stencil on top of that and Posca markers. I really like the way this series came out. I love the color combination. I just love so many things about that series. So we have the 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is another great color combination. Getting a little bit better at using the Tombows as a watercolor. I believe here I started going back as a second layer, doing the first one, letting it dry, and then coming back and adding a little more on top of it. And it really gave it this depth, which I really like. I hope the camera is staying in focus for you because there's a lot of detail here and I don't want to do a lot of moving around. It appears on my screen that it is, so I hope that you are getting the same effect. Again, I really like these. This is a great color combination. Again, these are just Tombow markers. And I don't believe there's any Posca on this one. I think it's just a gel pen and Tombow. So now here you can see I used the Tombow markers as well, but I didn't use them as a watercolor effect. So you can see them here. You can almost see some of the lines from when you're, coloring and it sort of overcolors a little bit. I actually believe that I am incorrect. These are not Tombow markers. I'm almost positive that these are these here. They are these Prismacolor Premier markers. And I believe these are, yes, these are alcohol based. And so I'm misspoken. That's what these are. And that's why I have these lines here, because Tombow doesn't usually do that, because the water-based markers tend to blend better. They do less of this. I'm not sure if you can quite see that on here. Let me see if I can show you better. You can see here almost like a streaking effect. That happens more with your alcohol markers than it does your water-based markers. I do like these markers. I've had these markers for 15 years. I spent many years as an interior designer, and it was pre the digital design era of digitally drawing your room layouts and things of that nature. We used to do it by marker. So I have a whole set of these. I've had these for about 15 years. Most of them still work beautifully. So those are a great marker. So I guess I skipped this page. Not sure what these notes are. But anyway, this needs to get put in here. I need a piece of paper to put this in here. And I could probably just stick it right on there. But you can see the interesting combination of how I really like, maybe we'll do a video on that where I take one paper and I make 6 individual pieces of art that I like to use and turn into note cards. So this one here, these are actually watercolor. These are not Tombow. I was trying to do an abstract Christmas feel. They're okay. I mean, I'm not in love with them, but they just didn't come out quite the way I envisioned them to come out. The colors are really pretty. They do feel very Christmassy. I don't know. Maybe we should try that a little bit different. Maybe that's something we should do. Maybe I should write that down. That's a great idea. Let me write that down before I forget. Okay, and so there's a set of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's what's in this notebook. And one thing I would do differently, which I did do in the next one I'll show you. You can see this bind is really, the spine is really taking a lot of stress. And it's mainly because not only did I add in the note cards, I added in a piece of paper on each page. And you know, maybe I didn't need to do that. Or what I should have done is to remove some of the pages in the book first to lighten the load so that it could handle adding in new pages. And so on this notebook, the next set, I did do that. And now the spine is reacting much better. Yes, it feels a little full, but it's not bursting like the other one. And this notebook is, oh, there you can see my notes. Was a lined notebook, just white pages, and I didn't add in the blank pages as I did in the other one. But again, these are just sets for note cards. This is one of my favorite ones here. I love the color combination. I love, I went into another layer of detail on top of the intuitive doodling, which I really like. So this is a stencil, this is a stencil here, and I did the Tombow markers underneath. I did the intuitive design. I added in sort of the electricity lines. I added both white and black. And then I did a stenciling on top, and I used almost like a matte Posca marker on top. I really like the way they look. I love the metallic. I'm not sure if you can really see that, but this is outlined in a pink metallic, and this is outlined in a purple metallic. It really looks beautiful. That element's really hard to capture on camera. It's also very hard, I notice, when I'm printing these 4 cards to capture. I'm almost wondering if I don't add that layer in after I print them or come back, and it would just be a really nice detail, I think. But I really love this set. Oops. Really like that. And I also really like this set. I did something completely different than what I had normally done. And I started with, I did a gray instead of a black. And I really like that. And this is completely metallic with a matte color on top. I'm not sure. I'm just going to kind of move this a little bit. These are all metallic colors. And I really love this set, the way that came out. I really like this color combination. I was exploring the idea of not having a black background and doing a more neutral color. I did gray, now I'm doing brown. I really also like the way this came out. It's a great set. Really love this set. This feels really fun, really versatile. The nice part about doing these is note cards. You're giving a gift. You know, yes, it's a card, you know, a folded card, and they're getting a gift because they can frame the piece. So it's kind of a 2-in-1. I only run a limited series of those as well, so I really like this one too. One of the things I really love about intuitive doodling is, you know, you're not really thinking about anything. You're just kind of sitting down and doing it, and nothing ever kind of comes out the same twice. You know, you have these series of 6 that are similar because I'm creating them all at one time. But if I were to come back now and try to recreate this, I don't think I could do it. Because it just happens in the moment. just like anything else, you know, the more you do something, the more evolved they get, right? I mean, I don't know the exact order of which these were done in, but when you look at something, you know, here, and then we move over, you know, to here, you know, you can almost see an evolution and new exploration of ideas. Oh, what if I did this? Well, let's add that. That's really what that's all about. So this is a great way to keep pieces, to reuse old journals. That was kind of really the point here, was to take something that was already done. In my case, I had just used this for random to-do notes and things of that nature. And so it really doesn't have any longevity or life, but I kind of hate to throw them out. So now I can reuse them. You could even just take the entire book as it was and put a gesso on here and create on top of that, which would be a great project. And you can do that with any kind of book or magazine that you come across. So if you're at a yard sale, or you have stuff in the basement that, you know, you're just never going to use, or whatever the case may be, you can just take that book and turn it into a journal. And maybe we'll do a video on that as well. So let me write that down. If you've been following along on this channel, you know that one of the objectives that I plan to do is to do several different types of journal series. And so we'll do things like a mark making journal, we'll do a color journal, we'll do a you know, mixed media journal. We'll do an interest journal. We're going to do all kinds of journals. And the reason is because I have a plan to later use those for challenges. And so we'll have our swatching journals, which we've already started. So when you sit down and you want to create something and you're unsure what you want to create, you know, a lot of people see a blank page and kind of freeze. You know, they don't know where to start. So one of the ways that I've found to remove that is to, number one, tape it out is a good place to start. The second place to start is to not overthink what you want to do, right? That's actually counterintuitive. So what I do is I use my tools, my journals, my swatching, my things. I have a bin of things, and I go in and I just sort through them and think about what's calling to me in that moment. And I'll just pull things. I'll pull a couple different colors. I'll pull, you know, I really wanted to work with this paint today, or I don't know, whatever it is that's speaking to me, I'll pull it. If you saw the video with the rose, turquoise rose, I was called to use this tissue paper in that. I don't know why, and I think it really disrupted the design, but it created a new and interesting thing in the end. And so it's really just about learning to listen to what you're called to use, and then letting the creation happen instead of trying to control it or think about what the expectation is of it. That's an important piece as well. I have these couple other little journals. This didn't take as long as I thought, so we can do that right now. I have this one over here that's kind of drying a little bit. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Rhonda Byrne's and The Secret and the Magic and those types of things, but this is my current journal that I'm using for a round of magic that I'm doing with a group of people. And I'm just going to kind of, I don't really want to give away all of this, but you know, these are my daily activities in the magic process. Okay, and so this is just from a magazine. And so this pages I prepped this morning. This is just black gesso, and this is still wet. It's just some tissue paper that I applied on top of here. But as you can see here, it's just a magazine that I created this little journal in, or turned into a little journal. And this will hold this round of magic. Magic is a process that takes 28 days, and you have some tasks that you do each day, and it's centered around gratitude and things of that nature. I have a texture here on the front. I have not felt inspired to paint it or color it yet. I don't know what's going to happen there. But this was part of a magazine. And so that's another example of a journal. And here's a couple other ones. So this is also a magazine that I turned into a little journal. This, I don't know if you can see this here, but this is textured. It almost looks like giraffe spots or pebbles or cobblestone. It's very textured and painted. I used Tombow markers actually to color it. And then on the back, I just did some mark making and some coloring. But again, this is from a magazine, and this is you've seen this in this exercise was in another video that you saw. And actually, this one was, but there was a recording snafu, so you never actually saw this process. So I redid a similar one, and this is the one that you would see in the video. So I'm just using this for little mixed media experiments. No particular goals other than I'm just sort of playing with whatever I'm inspired that day to create. So here you can see this is a magazine. And don't worry, I have that on my list of videos to create. And then this is another one also created from a magazine. This is something that's an ongoing project. I am a big believer in vision boards. I do them all the time. And I made some major changes in my life, and I created a vision board, and all of those things came to fruition, and I've evolved into more of a vision journal, which I think if you've ever done a vision board and understand how it works and the power of it, there's an evolution that needs to happen. And that's what this evolution is for me, is this vision journal. And so this is an ongoing process. It's something I use every day, several times a week. And it's very personal. I'm not going to go into too much of this right now, but again, this is just made from a magazine. And I'm just getting in here some things that were meaningful to me that I want, to see in the coming year. I actually do my vision journal a little bit differently. I don't do them based on sort of January to December. It must be something to do with my birthday, I think, is really when I do this. I tend to fall into that late August, or September is the time frame that I usually want to create this. And I find that I'm doing it for the remainder of the year and the next coming year. So my point there is that I do my vision journal, not a vision board anymore, and I do it from my birthday as the fiscal year, if that makes sense. I find it to be much more intuitive and aligns much better with what I'm trying to accomplish, and it just feels so much more appropriate. So that's an example of this, but I'm showing you this now because this is also made from a magazine, and I wanted to share that with you as well. I hope that you enjoyed taking a peek into some of my journals. Of course, I've got an endless trove of them and all different styles and types and different journals for different things. But be sure to like and subscribe. I will be doing a video on how to take a magazine and turn it into a journal. So if you want to be aware of that when that comes out, make sure you hit the notification button so that you get notified of new videos. In the meantime, if you're planning on doing that exercise, keep an eye out for a magazine that you want to use. I can tell you my big tip there would be some magazines are very flimsy and some are not. You can tell on this particular magazine, it's not a stapled magazine. It has like a glued binding. I don't know if you can really see that right here. So it functions more like a book rather than a magazine. And that's why I love to use this particular one. This is actually a free magazine that a local community gives out. It's a town magazine. It's really nice. It has nice paper. So those would be my tips. Look for a magazine that has a nice, strong glued binding. I would look for one that has a good quality paper um, instead of a very flimsy, like almost like a newsprint, like a newspaper. That's not the kind of magazine that you want. So that would be my tips if you're looking for magazines to sort of get and prepare to do the DIY journals from the magazines. I would get those. Keep an eye out for them. And I'll look forward to sharing that process with you. It's not, I didn't make the process up. I watched a gazillion YouTube videos and watched a dozen different people do their variations of it, and I just sort of do my variation of it now. But if I can find those, when I do that video, I'll, of course, share theirs as well, because I know sometimes seeing more than one way to do something is very beneficial. And they were beneficial when I did mine. So I want you to be able to have that as well. But I'm glad you're here. I hope you found some value in this. I hope you're creating. I hope you're, learning and playing and exploring, experimenting and growing. If you have something you'd love to see me do, I would love to hear from you. But be sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.